Okay, we've got 20 minutes for discussion, questions and discussion in general. First question, down here.
Yeah, just before we do that, I have a notice here as everybody's in the hall. One of our sisters has had her bag removed from where she left it. It's a black lady's handbag, marked Calvin Klein. It's pretty full and there's a lot of important stuff to her in it. So if somebody picked it up in error or found it underneath the chair or anything like that at all, could you leave it out to our bar, please? We do hope we find it.
We could do with one more person to manage the microphone. So we've got one here and this gentleman in the second row.
Hello, my name is Rutger Tierney from the German online magazine Schattenblick, and I would like to ask a question about the importance of Okinawa. It would seem to me that it is due, unless I've understood something incorrectly, its relevance is its closeness to Taiwan, and the question of the One China policy, whether America accepts that or not, is prepared to defend Taiwan in the case of a Chinese invasion if they ever decide to do it, whatever. And what are the thoughts of the people involved in the anti-base movement in Okinawa about the whole Taiwan question? And have they ever established any contacts to a peace movement or anti-war movement in Taiwan? And is there one? Because I never heard.
Mm-hmm. 台湾との関係ということなんですけども、正直私はあまり深くは知りませんが、今私たちの辺野古の運動に一番多く来てくれる人は台湾の人たちです。
I'm not so familiar with the people and also the peace movement in Taiwan. That being said, actually we received so many visitors from Taiwan who want to support to our resistance at the Henoko.
ちょっと話それますけども、2003年に日本で大きな地震がありました。その時に一番義援金を寄せてくれたのが台湾の人たちです。
This may be a little bit sway from the main stream of your question, but anyway, let me tell you something. In 2003, there was a huge earthquake in Japan, and actually those people in Taiwan gave us a huge donation. They were the biggest donor at that time.
そういうことから台湾の人たちっていうのは非常に沖縄に親近感を持っていますし、今観光客で一番沖縄に来る人に外国人の中で一番多いのが台湾の人たちです。
Thus, it seems like Taiwanese people have such a closer feeling toward or compassionate to Okinawans, and actually we have so many tourists from Taiwan to Okinawa. I think Taiwanese tourists are the majority of visitors to Okinawa when it comes to tourism.
ですから沖縄の人たちと台湾の人たちっていうのは非常にお互いに親近感を持って、平和運動なんかでも一緒にやっています。
Thus, emotional proximity between Okinawans and Taiwanese is so close, and that's why I think we can work together for the peace movement as well. Did I answer your question?
Can you confirm that the reason why all those American troops are in Okinawa as opposed to Hokkaido is because it's right beside Taiwan in the case of an intervention or the necessity from the point of view of the Pentagon?
You mean from Taiwan? From Okinawa into Taiwan.
Hello, sorry to interrupt your conversation. I'm from Okinawa, living in Ireland. Eric Hopkinson is my name. And about Taiwan or China attacking Japan, I think it's unlikely scenario, but America really wants to, or Japan wants to have this for the reason to them, U.S. Army to stay in Okinawa. I just wanted to add this situation in Okinawa, the difficulty is Okinawa's independent country, Kingdom of Ryukyus, until 200 years ago. And Japan annexed it, and during the Second World War, we were sacrificed to protest, to protect mainland of Japan. Then America landed, Japanese army let American land, and then after that, with guns and bulldozers, they took our island, the land, as American army bases. And Japan also, they wanted to keep their emperor in the spot, and also other reasons. Japan gave away Okinawa, so I was born in Okinawa under American occupation. So America wanted to say, there's a lot of reasons, but I think the main reason is it's convenient. Okinawa is not really Japan in their deep, deep mind. So, loads of American bases in Japan. In the 50s, they moved to Okinawa. There were loads of protests in mainland. So it was easier to move to Okinawa. It was still American occupation. And still that mentality stays. It's far away from Japan. The Marine doesn't need to stay in Okinawa because the other facilities are in mainland Japan. So they have to move around. So the main reason is it's easier and it's already there, so they don't need to cause other problem to make another new army bases in Japan. So that's, I believe, what we have. Our struggle is not only American government. Our struggle is we have to fight with Japanese government. They don't listen to us. And our new governor is actually ex-Marine's son and Okinawan mother, and he has a father who was American Marine. So this is our new hope. It's a great diversity in Okinawa. We were kingdom of peace. We didn't want to fight, so it was small islands, small country. We traded with China, Japan, all other countries to keep peaceful, relationship with other countries. So sorry to talk to you so long, but anyway, so we're hoping we could unite with the people of the world. That's only our hope, because it's hard to make the Japanese government to listen to us. So thank you very much for listening to my story.
事実としてですね、今沖縄本島に限らず沖縄の周辺の小さな島々にですね、日本の自衛隊の基地が今作られようとしています。
I'd like to give you a little bit more information. Not only main island of Okinawa, there are satellite small islands surrounding mainland Okinawa. In those small islands, actually the Japanese government is building bases for self-defense forces, which is ongoing thing now.
これは台湾に対してでなくてですね、中国でもなくてですね、北朝鮮に対して、脅威があるということで、日本の安倍政権がですね、初めてです。これまでの政権はやってないんですけども、安倍政権になって初めて日本のいわば自衛隊をですね、沖縄の周囲の島々に配置することになります。
This is a really new thing started by the Abe administration. And those self-defense forces, new bases, are not meant to be against China nor Taiwan. Actually, it is meant to be against North Korea.
まあ、ご存知の通り、今アメリカと北朝鮮っていうのは平和に向けて対話してますね。それと全く逆行した動きを日本の安倍政権がやってるということです。
As you know, currently, the relationship between the United States and North Korea is more amicable. They did start a dialogue, whereas the Abe administration has been doing something going completely opposite.
ですからもちろん沖縄の人たちもその小さな人たち島々の人たちも反対してるんですが、何せお金で誘導してですね、その賛成させていると。お金を振りまい安倍政権はお金を振りまいてですね、村民を賛成に回らせていると、そういう状況です。
Actually, many residents of those small islands are against the construction of new bases for self-defense forces. That being said, the government of Japan is buying out their votes. You know, that's the reality. And also, if may I add, self-defense forces themselves, they have a right to vote as a nation of Japan, right? So they transfer those personnel first to those islands. So when it comes to election, self-defense forces soldiers vote for the construction of new bases. You know, the same thing happens in Easter Islands and places like that too. The same strategy. Yeah.
Okay, that hurt. Sorry. I just want to say, I don't buy into this business of defense. I don't buy into the business of the United States to defend anything, Taiwan or any other place. I mean, the United States is the greatest perpetrator of violence in the world, period. China is not, I'm not pro-Chinese or anything like that. But China is not waging war all over the world. The United States is waging war. What business do we have surrounding China? This is a crock of shit, you know? So I'm not buying into that argument that they use, that the U.S. military and the U.S. government uses stuff like, well, we have to, what if China attacks Taiwan? Well, it's not your business if China attacks Taiwan. If it happens, then you'll deal with it. But get back to your own country. You know, we don't have to be all over the world surrounding China, surrounding Russia. The problem is we are afraid, the United States is afraid of China's economic power. So we want to strangle them as much as possible. We want to strangle those straits. So, because they import like 80% of their oil, you know, so we want to stop that. It's all a crock, you know, it's all gangsterism and big business is what it is. And I'm personally sick of it, and I don't buy into this need for military defense in any situation. And the Okinawans do not want us defending them. Does that mean anything? Are we talking about democracy? You have 70 to 80% of the Okinawan people who want us gone. And is that respected? Is that respected? Is that democracy? No, it's nothing to do with democracy. And the same thing happened in Jeju Island. And I've been in Palestine also with veterans team. And we've seen how the United States is supporting Israel. Israel is as bad as anything that you could possibly imagine. If you go there, you will see what it's like. And I'll tell you something. The people of Okinawa know about what the people in Palestine are doing. And the people in Standing Rock know what's going on in Okinawa and in Jeju Island and in Palestine. They all know. And there's a solidarity between all of them. And it is involved in resisting U.S. militarism. And it's got to stop. And thank God for Cuba.
Thank you very much. My name is June Kelly. I was born in Tasmania, that little rock down the other, the southern part of Australia, 70 years ago. But I've lived in Ireland now with my husband for 30 years. And I really appreciate, Anne, that you're bringing us up to date on the American military bases in Pine Gap in Australia, because you get a bit disconnected. It's really fantastic. Thank you. And I'd just like to mention that going back, you'd remember the era of the Prime Minister, the Labour Party Prime Minister Gough Whitlam, and he was great. He was he nationalised the medical system, education, and so on, gave the Aborigine people back most of their land. But the end of GOF came when one day my husband was a broadcaster with the Australian Broadcasting Corporation for 35 years, and he had to read 7 o'clock news to the whole nation on the telly on this particular night, and he read that today Mr. Whitlam announced that he wants all American military bases out of Australia, and he named a particular date. This would have been kind of 1974-ish. Want all American military bases closed and out of Australia, to include Pine Gap, big spy base that in those days people hardly even knew it existed there. And so within a very short time, the CIA had organized a coup with silly, scandalous things against Mr. Whitlam through cabinet ministers, having affairs with secretaries, ridiculous stuff. But nevertheless, Mr. Whitlam was gone. And so you'd probably remember that era. But Australia's always been roped into imperialist wars. First World War, I think we lost over 60,000. Second World War, 30,000. Vietnam, 500. On the battlefield, thousands since, through being victims of the chemical weapons, Agent Orange, that the Americans were using. And it just seems to go on and on and on. My mother's mother lost 5 brothers in the space of 1 month in Gallipoli in the First World War. And I think that sort of started me off on the anti-war situation, but I'd just like to say thank you very much again, Annette. You're really doing a great job.
Thanks very much. I might just add that the manipulation of people in Australia through militarism and glorifying militarism is huge. Australia spent more money on the centenary of the First World War than any country in the world. So it's quite appalling. Yeah, thank you very much. Questions? Any further questions? Okay.
My name is Barbara Fuchs, and I am from the German Peace Council. And I have another question. We knew that the Vietnam War was stopped when the soldiers were active, and we had the peace movement had contacts with the soldiers, and I want to know if the veterans of war or the people in these countries can say if you have contact or influence of the soldiers by the bases. My English was not so good, but I think you understand.
I think what you're asking, you're referring to what happened during Vietnam when the soldiers, the American soldiers, were basically in revolt. There was a tremendous resistance among the military. And are you asking now if that kind of resistance is
so today,
exists?
Do you have any contacts or information? How is the situation on the basis?
Well, we have Iraq, Afghanistan veterans who have turned against the war, who are against militarism, and we have, of course, Vietnam-era veterans who are also against the war, and we try to communicate with active duty soldiers. And in fact, we just did a brochure with a letter from Rory Fanning, who was an Army Ranger in Afghanistan and left the Rangers because he was disgusted with what was happening there, and he realized how wrong that was. And we did a brochure with a letter of his to active duty soldiers, and it's great. It starts out with, your commanding officer is lying to you. And it really is good. And we're distributing that at the border to the soldiers that Trump has sent down there. And many of them are feeling like, what are we doing here? They get it. You know, they're not all totally brainwashed. The people coming there are children. They're walking 1,000 miles to get to the border, to get to some type of safety, you know, and the soldiers are there with their guns, and they're questioning it. So yeah, we're giving out the flyers, and we're trying to reach out to them as much as possible, and to foment a resistance to U.S. militarism right within the ranks. And you're right, that's one of the things that has to happen. Right. Right. It is different, and it's much more difficult now. That's why you don't have the kind of resistance that you had during Vietnam. It's one of the reasons you don't. Also, the military has become much more sophisticated in their propaganda, their internal propaganda, and what they're offering the soldiers. You know, and it's a poverty draft. And you know, you're a young kid, you're 17 or 18 years old, you can't get a decent job at all, if you can get any job, you know. And here's the Army, they're offering you money, they're offering you a uniform, pride, you know, food, all of that. Hey, it looks good until you get involved in it. And then you see it stinks. You know, so that's what happens. But you're right, that's why it's more difficult now.
Yes. One of the things I think that we probably need to do more of is to call it for what it is. I believe that the U.S. military carries out armed robbery around the world. It is no way in the world that countries that are like Democratic Republic of the Congo, $24 trillion worth of minerals, yet the UN defines the people of the Congo as being the poorest people in the world. Give me a break. I mean, obviously, U.S. is using its military power to coerce, to overthrow, and to stop any type of resistance to their ability of their multinationals to rob the rest of the world. Absolutely. I mean, and we in the peace movement, I think too often don't point that out. We do not explain what's the purpose of the military of the United States. It's used to promote capitalism. It is used to rob. And we are this U.S. government is the largest armed robber in the world. Yes. And we need to call it for what it is. Yes.
They're gangsters.
There's no question about that, but too often we tiptoe around that issue. And we're talking all kinds of philosophies as to why they're doing this or why they're doing that. It's simple. They're stealing.
That's right.
That's how the United States has amassed such huge wealth since 2008. Obviously, the average working person in the United States' wealth has not quadrupled, has not gone up 5 times like the stock market. So where's the wealth coming from? How do we have a society that has London setting the price for raw gold? They don't have gold mines. Why are they setting the price for what the gold should be sold for in Ghana or someplace else? Because they set the price at 1/7 the value of refined gold. And as long as Africa is not refining its gold, they're being robbed.
Okay, we've run out of time for this session. I'd just like to thank Hiroshi and Tarak and Rachel for her wonderful translation. Thank you very much, everybody.